of like places in India and stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
But it gets a little distracting.
Yeah, the gardens there are a little prettier than what I have going here.
Oh no, it's very pretty. Yeah.
Moira, your hair is much longer than I remember.
Oh, I just actually cut 9 inches off.
Oh, it looks
But
great.
I think it just depends on how it's like laying,
Yeah, it's looking nice.
Thank you. How have you been?
Been good, San Francisco has been okay for the most part, but
Yeah.
cases are going up here as well. So we're just trying to, remember that this is not over yet, and
Yeah.
just need to keep the
Yeah.
precautions going.
Yeah, that's what we're, trying to do too. We have a lot of resistant Ohioans.
Oh, gee. Yeah, we don't seem to hear much about Ohio, even though I'm in Maryland, not far away, but we don't hear much about like problems. I guess, you have a pretty decent governor though, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you have a good
But
governor.
but he's, he's a Republican, but he's making the Republicans angry.
Same with ours.
Yeah.
Same with ours. Larry Hogan is a Republican, but he's like so Democrat.
Yeah, it's hard. But I think most of our, pretty much there's mask mandates everywhere now.
Yeah.
So that's helped a little, that people just have to do it. And
Good.
but so far so good. Okay.
Let's see, a few more people are online. Hi, Amy and Annette.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Good
Hi.
to hear from you.
Yes, and good to see you. I'm actually at the gym, so that's okay. Oh well.
That's brave. I just have to say, I think that's really brave to be, unless you're in New Zealand.
It's a private gym, and there's like 2 people here, so it's really, I feel safe, and I'm not too worried about it. We're good.
All right.
That's good. Hi, Allison. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hi. Where are you located, Allison?
I'm in Oakland.
Oh, wonderful.
In the Bay Area.
That's right. You're close to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're in San Francisco, yeah?
I'm in San Francisco, yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, I listened to the interview with Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Madden, it was amazing. It was so good. Thank you.
She was amazing. Yeah, she really
That was very helpful, especially for those of us that haven't been in practice very long. I've been in practice for a couple of years, and just had to close my clinic because of the COVID situation. So it was really good to hear from her. I mean, it was really, really good. So thank you for doing that. Yeah.
Wonderful. I also see a few others. Hi, Om. Good to see you. I am glad you resolved your Zoom issues.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for your response. You're so quick.
No worries. I see Amy and Monica, Olga, Linda, Anjana, and Eileen. Hi, guys. If you want to just say hello, we'd love to see you or hear from you.
I think I have to do a little stretch before we get started. Oh my God, so many Zoom calls every day. It's crazy.
You're really building those Zoom muscles,
I know, right?
My husband is a chiropractor, and I think his business he became so busy because so many people were working from home and not in like proper posture. And so we thought business would decrease, but it did the opposite.
Wow. Zoom is great for his business.
Yeah.
So far.
Hello, Susan. This is Om.
Hello,
and
Om.
It looks like I'll be the only man here. So if anything you want to say in Women Ayurveda, I will not be offended.
Okay, sounds good. It is so often like that it's all women. I don't know, but so the men are really super special when they join in. So I think that's great. Nice to meet you, Om.
Yeah, thank you.
Gotta do a little marma before we get started.
Let's see. How many people do we have? I think a few more are gonna join. I do see Niru and Mariam also on. Hi guys. And then,
Good morning.
hey, good morning, Mariam.
Morning.
Morning, everyone. This is Olga.
Hi,
Hi,
Olga.
Olga.
How's
Morning,
it going in
Linda.
Portland?
Oh, it's pretty good. We have a very cool day today. So after a few days of heat, it feels like a blessing.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
All right. So I think, you know, I'll probably, we may want to get started so that, you know, we have enough time to hear from Susan and also cover questions. And I think people will sort of keep dropping in as we go along. So without much further ado, welcome, Susan. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'm so excited that you could take the time today, be here to talk to us. And, you know, you have such a wonderful experience. And I love that, you know, you started with owning a bookstore and you're now writing books about Ayurveda. So that's just such a wonderful journey that you've been on. And I'd love for all of us, you know, as new students and practitioners in Ayurveda to hear from someone like you who's been in the space for some time now and learn from your experience. So thank you so much for being here. And I'll hand it over to you. And also a quick note that, you know, we want to keep this interactive today. So keep putting your questions in the chat. And I will probably switch off everyone else's video other than Susan's so that we can all focus and listen to her. So with that, Susan, over to you.
Okay, great. You know, it strikes me, I have so many of these calls now with different groups of people, a lot of Ayurveda, but other types as well. And I feel like we sort of always like just dive right in. And Ayurveda is a consciousness-based science, and consciousness, you know, where is it? I don't even know where consciousness is, but I think before we begin the call, we're all coming at it from different places. It's noon here in Baltimore where I am, earlier in the morning for others. But maybe we can just take a minute, like literally a minute, and I'll time it, just to gather ourselves together and take a few nice, really deep cleansing breaths. And just focus on our intention here today. Our intention is to figure out how we're going to run our businesses during the time of COVID and this pandemic. And maybe we can see silver linings, and maybe we can figure out new ways to help people. But I'm just going to tell you my story and take some questions. We'll go from there. But let's just take a minute here to get ourselves centered and focused. I'm just going to ask everybody to close their eyes. And just relax your body. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. And then exhale through your nose just a little bit longer than your inhale was. Feel your shoulders come down. Feel the belly relax. Another deep inhale through the nose to allow your belly to fill up like a balloon on the inhale. And then feel your belly button move back towards your spine on the exhale. Then maybe we can just sit for a moment here, and I want to offer my gratitude to all of you for coming today and for being interested in Ayurveda. And I really want to offer my gratitude to all the Vaidhyas and the Rishis, all of our teachers, and just to the Vedas for allowing us to be in this world. I know most of us here are probably American, some Indian, but that we've been allowed to enter into this really sacred space and come with our own experience, intentions, and express it to the world. So let's just take a moment here in silence and allow that to swirl around our consciousness.
Mute कर Looks good.
And when you feel ready, just slowly opening your eyes on the exhale. I do wish that I could see you all. I trust that you maybe took a few moments there. I really felt what came up for me in that just those few seconds was the word privilege. I feel so privileged to be an Ayurvedic practitioner. I feel so privileged to have traveled in India and to have studied Ayurveda and to be able to bring it to people here in the US. Actually, I've given a few talks in India too. People in India don't always know about Ayurveda, so I've been able to talk to them as well. So we should all, hopefully we feel grateful for the knowledge that we've been given, and it's very special to be a part of this practice. So today what I want to talk to you about is how we set up our practices. I'm going to talk a little bit about COVID and non-COVID because of course when I was setting up my practice there was no pandemic. I began, I came to Ayurveda because as Shruti mentioned, I had a bookstore in Baltimore called Breathe Books, and I opened that in my early 40s. I had a career in PR and marketing before that, and previous to that I lived in Israel for a very long time, and I was a journalist in Israel. So having writing skills is paramount to being able to promote yourself and market yourself in any business that you want to be in. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I opened up, I quit my job in publicity and marketing and opened up a bookstore in 2004 because I felt that was the path for me. It was a metaphysical bookstore concentrating on books on yoga and meditation and vegetarianism and angels and crystals and all that stuff that goes along with it. I sold meditation cushions and singing bowls and had lots and lots of classes and workshops, and it was really, really incredible. I also had an Ayurvedic section in my bookstore, and I really didn't know much about Ayurveda. I actually didn't know a lot about a lot of things, but Ayurveda was one of them. And it came to a point where I decided that in 2007 that I was just not feeling great. I had always struggled. I don't even say struggled. I always weighed more than normal. And sometimes I struggled with it. Sometimes I just accepted it. But at that point, I weighed about 220 pounds and I was just uncomfortable. And I knew that there was something underneath all that. I wanted to be healthier and I wanted to have more energy. And I took a quiz actually in one of Dr. Frawley's books. And I saw that I had an abundance of kapha, and I learned a little bit about Panchakarma from reading, and I decided that I would go to the Chopra Center in California for Panchakarma because they had a nice program, and they had a program, a 10-day program where they also taught you about Ayurveda. It was called Journey into Healing. No, it wasn't. That was a different one. It was called Perfect Health. So I went to the Chopra Center and I stayed there and I did this class. And I had Panchakarma, and it really was transformative, just transformative. I came home and I felt like a different person. I met a lot of great people in California, in Carlsbad, where the Chopra Center was located. And I decided that this was for me. Ayurveda spoke to me like nothing else had. It was almost like I speak Hebrew as well as English, and it was almost like Sanskrit was like Hebrew, and it just sort of started flowing from my tongue like Hebrew did. And so that was neat. It felt like I was remembering a past life and all this, Prakriti, Vikruti, Virya, Vipaka, like everything, like, Shrotas, and it just all just started tumbling out of my mouth, and it just felt like so natural to me. So I decided that I think the first thing I did was I began cooking Ayurvedic food from Amadea Morningstar's cookbook, and then I saw she was teaching at Kripalu, and I decided to go to Kripalu, and I spent a week intensive with Amadea there in 2008, and then I joined into the Chopra Center program for certification. And so that's what I did. I got certified from the Chopra Center and continued working a lot with Amadea to this day. We still work together. Now we teach together. And I was certified in New Mexico for Ayurveda cooking at her house. She had a wonderful program that I did. And then I just kept going on, studying with Dr. Ladd and just going to India, that was a whole other story, but a whole bunch of things happened that I started doing Ayurvedic consultations through my bookstore. So for me, I had an existing business, and of course I'd love to hear what your stories are and so on. But because I had this existing business, I had a huge email list, and this is getting to the marketing of Ayurveda. But because I had like a 10,000 person email list and lots of people, I had a very popular bookstore, people coming in and out, people started saying, what are you doing? You look really good. I should say I lost 60 pounds. I also lost 80 points on my cholesterol. So like Ayurveda worked, and I kept it off, and it was really amazing. And everybody wanted to know what I was doing. And so I started, after I was certified, I started doing Ayurvedic consultations at my bookstore. So I had a platform there for teaching. I had a built-in audience, and that was great. And most people don't have that, but I want to encourage you, you can still do this. You can still make this your livelihood without having a platform. But some of you might have a business already where you have been collecting emails, or you have a weekly newsletter, or however you do it, where you can start to market yourself and to people that already know and trust you. And so after 10 years of owning the bookstore, I also had a vegetarian Ayurvedic cafe in my bookshop. And in 2000, and I think, oh my gosh, this is so in 2014, I think, I decided that I wanted to close the bookstore and concentrate fully on Ayurveda, to just spend 100% of my time doing Ayurvedic consultations and cooking classes. And I also had a business of taking people to India, to tour India, and to go to Ayurvedic centers as an option at the end of the trip. And I did that about a dozen times. So I did close the bookstore. We moved into a home that we found that actually had a teaching kitchen, a separate, like 600 square foot teaching kitchen attached to the house, but a separate entrance. So it was like built for that. So I saw my clients there. I'm in that house now. Saw my clients there, and taught lots and lots and lots of cooking classes here as well. And so that is and I also do Marma therapy. So that this is, what has been going on all these years. And so for about a dozen years, I've been doing this since I became introduced to Ayurveda in 2007. So as I said, closing the bookstore was fine because I had this huge email list to work from, and lots of people actually around the country knew me. So that helped me establish my Ayurvedic practice pretty much seamlessly. But I know that that is not the fairy tale story for everyone. Oh, speaking of fairy tales, I should mention the man I married walked into my bookstore. That was a real fairy tale. And so dreams do come true. You just got to put it out there. So someone asked, did you start your full-time Ayurvedic practice from your home? Yes, I had a part-time Ayurvedic practice at my bookstore, and I taught cooking from a smaller home that I lived in a small kitchen. So yeah, so that is exactly where I started. I had separate spaces for events, and so I would see clients in that space. And so what I think is most important in establishing yourself as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I think you really need to put full energy into it. I did separate that energy for a little while, and I started, I was in the bookstore and doing Ayurveda. But at some point, everything changed, and I was like full-time Ayurveda. I didn't feel that I could give myself 100% to my clients while still being distracted by my other business. And so that's why I decided to go full-time. Somebody said, can you unmute and ask audio questions? I wouldn't mind that at all. I think if people want to chime in and unmute themselves, even put up your video, because now I'm just looking at me. I wouldn't mind looking at other people. So Sharon Chopra has a question. I'm happy to go there. I have notes, so I know where I am.
Great, yeah. I wasn't sure if it was okay to interrupt you.
Please do.
But I think you just touched upon it, and like how your bookstore was like, it gave you the platform to start because you had a mailing list, and then at some point it more distraction. And so I don't have a bookstore. I wish I did. Metaphysical bookstore sounds great, but like I often use yoga as a way to get people into Ayurveda because that's what I'm primarily trained in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I was teaching yoga every single day, I think I got to a point where I was like, I don't have enough time for self-studies because I only have a full-time job.
Right.
So I am really trying to understand when it is okay to keep doing what you're doing or try new things just to bring people into the fold, and when it's time to let go. You have any wisdom there? Save me a few years. Please do.
Yeah. So
yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a huge believer in intuition and listening to your gut. I like to have a vision and I like to have a plan. I like to write a business plan for what I'm thinking of, even if it's something, just shifting your work and maybe not even sharing that business plan with anybody else, but writing it down for yourself. But I believe that in your meditation practice, and I'm just going to assume that everybody has a meditation practice, because if you don't, you should. But in your meditation practice, when you sit, you know that little things spark up that call your attention. It says, it's not, you don't have to get rid of every thought in meditation. Sometimes there's things that come up that you need to look at. And you only have that time to do it when you're in that beautiful, quiet space. So you need to be discerning. We need to be discerning to know when a thought comes up that we have to pay attention to. And so in your practice, or even in your, your waking life off of the cushion, something keeps sparking up and says, listen to me, listen to me. And it could be like, I need to shut down the yoga. I need to do this, or I need to do that. I need to do this full time. I'm getting chills saying it, because this is what happened to me. When I opened the bookstore, I was in the Bodhi Tree bookstore in Los Angeles in West Hollywood. I was there for public relations for another reason at a hotel, and I walked into the Bodhi Tree and everything sparked in my body, and it said, oh my God, you need to open a bookstore. You need to open this in Baltimore. This is it. And I was like, and I'm going to call it Breathe Books, because everything is about the breath and da-da-da. And I was 41 years old, and I was like, screw it. I'm quitting my career. I'm doing this. So I'd done that a few times, but this was, the latest time. And then I spent 2 years writing a business plan. I have a nice Kathak side that wants to know everything and sit down and write it all out. But my Pitta was like, go do it. And the Vata was like all creative, and you can make this happen. So of course I didn't know the doshas at the time, but that's what happened. There was no questioning. When there's no question about it, that's the thing. Like when I met my husband, seriously, he walked into the bookstore. I was 45 years old when I met my husband, never been married before. He walked in and was like, well, of course, that's it. There's no question. There's like no drama. It's like it. When I decided to close the bookstore, I was at the beach with a friend on a little vacation, woke up in the middle of the night, and it was like, close the bookstore. You need to do Ayurveda full time. You close the bookstore. I called my husband. He said, great, let's make a plan. I'll support you in however we do it. It's like you just know it. And I think through people who've meditated for a long period of time, like you know to start to listen to yourself. You don't second guess yourself. You're like, that's the message. So Shagun, I can't tell you anything more than listen to yourself. There's so many people out there, you have your pundits, you have everybody telling you, priest, rabbi, parents, mother, whatever. I gotta tell you, my mother, every step of the way, except for my husband, she was like against, but she loved my husband. But every step of the way, you can't quit your job. You can't move to Israel. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's like a life of fear. And sometime early on, I lost my fear, because I discovered that when you really believe in something and you go to do it, you are nothing but successful. There's no chance for failure. If this is what you really want to do, you make it work. So you just need to listen to yourself. Oh, I get enthusiastic about that. So I believe that you will know.
I think you put it wonderfully. I think there's a tendency to second guess your instinct, especially when something you built and for so long, like it's very hard to let go sometimes, but I think I felt the chills too listening to you. So I'm going to look out for that within myself.
That's great. Good. Let me know. That's great. Does anyone else have a question right now, or I will go ahead and with my notes here?
Yes. Hi, Susan. I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Hi. And maybe you'll touch on this as you go along. But as I understand, then you probably went into Ayurveda a little bit later in life, correct? And can you talk on or touch on how it is to change your career later in life. Although I've been practicing Ayurveda for 15 years, it's only been 2 years since I actually, like you, jumped in full steam and left my career as a nurse. And I'm 54.
Oh, awesome.
So, and that's always like this thing, like, Annette, you started too late. You're getting too old, you know? So it's inspiring to see that, you know, you did it. And can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. As we all can see, that Annette is quite Pitta dosha. I think that she's talking to us from the gym.
Yes.
She might have been on the treadmill, and she's also Pitta sometimes is inflexible, as we know, and has these thoughts like, well, if I didn't do it already, it's not going to be perfect. I can't do it. But boy, am I glad that you made the leap, Annette, to do that. I think that's fantastic. I have to say that thinking about the notion of later in life is not really something that was in my head too much. I got married at 47 and I was like, oh, now I'm ready. Like, I wasn't ready before. And, you know, I opened a bookstore at 41. I wasn't ready to have my own business before that. And I didn't have the money either before that. So I think there's something, instead of age, it's just like experience. Like, I think I'm probably the best Ayurvedic practitioner now than when I started, much better, because of all my experience of working with clients and so on, but also life experience. Because I'm 57 years old now. So I've gone through menopause, which is so huge, you know, perimenopause, premenopause, being menopausal, postmenopause. So many of my clients, the demographic, and you said you didn't mind if we talked about this. So much of my demographic is, you know, women in their 40s and 50s and 60s. So I think you just bring so much more wisdom to it. And I would not define yourself, Annette, by your age and coming to it late in life. You're coming to it at the most perfect time in life. Because one of the things I want to talk about here on my list about marketing is knowing your niche, knowing who your clients are going to be. And your clients are going to be women in their 50s for the most part. And you will have a lot of
Thank you.
part in that. So I would definitely
Thank you so much, Susan. Well, you look amazing for your, I mean, you don't look 57, so thank you.
Susan, can I have a comment? So when we speak of the age, so I never feel offended that age is just a number. And when the passion comes, when the need comes, you just start it. So I'm a cancer survivor and I'm 70 years of age.
Wow.
I just completed my 45 years of pharmaceutical career, and Ayurveda has been always into back of my mind. And that's now is the time I'm starting it. I'm already into practice, enjoying it. Every time I speak to a Rogi on Zoom, the first word comes out of my mind is, Mamta, it looks like I'm sitting just across you. I feel your pain. I feel your concern. I'm just sitting across you. I can feel it, and I want to help you.
Yeah, oh,
So
that's beautiful.
This is so it just comes out of my mind. Is because of experience. I don't mind showing my gray hair.
Me too.
But I think you're right. Age is not a barrier. If you think that you have another 15, 20 years to live, what you're going to do, I'm going to do my best to help people with my experience based on the science which I have. The recent patient I dealt with, she had fibromyalgia and she was bedridden. And, you know, it's amazing how people, when they become really helpless and come to you, and we should do our best. I do our best. So I'm not the expert. I'm just started. I'm just a wellness counselor.
That's really important. You know, somebody put a question here: at what stage in your Ayurveda studies did you feel confident to start your practice full time? And what Om said, you know, he's not an expert. He came to it later in life as well. But I think that you feel confident to start your practice full time, or just in general your practice. You know a little bit more than your client does. So Om knows a little bit more about Ayurvedic remedies for people with fibromyalgia than the person does who's coming to him. So I felt I'm a person who doesn't lack confidence. So but I just always felt that I knew a little bit more, and I kept learning more and more, and I saw my clients getting better and better. And that's, I didn't feel that I had to have more and more knowledge to have a full-time practice. I just guess I felt I needed more and more clients and will and the want to do that to have a full-time practice. I'm going to come back to the book story in a minute. Somebody asked that, but let's remind me of that. How do we create an email list if we don't already have? That's super important. That's number one on my thing here. Marketing, establish an email list. So you pretty much want to get everybody's email address that you ever meet. So get business cards for all sorts of people that you come into contact with. Of course, I know now with COVID, but on all your chats with people, you can put up in the chat your email address, share it so that you can share knowledge with each other. You could find different groups that you can partner with in your community, like yoga centers or alternative health centers or chiropractors. Moira's husband is a chiropractor. Maybe he works with other alternative health people or osteopaths, acupuncture practitioners. You can be in touch with them, or you probably know some already, and say, can we partner? Could you send out my information to your email list, somebody who has an established email list? Send my information to them with a special offer, and they can email me then if they want to be on my newsletter list. There's lots of different ways to set that up. You can do a link. You can do a link to your website. You can start on Facebook, joining all sorts of Ayurveda, alternative health, meditation, yoga groups in your area on all the social media. Ask people to go to your website, to sign up for your newsletter if they're interested. Just any way you can. Just try to think about, do not meet a person without getting their email address, basically, is what you want. If you're meeting that person, your lives were supposed to come together, and you must get their contact information so you don't lose it. Every single person is a potential client. Okay, I hope that answered your question. I'm divided between family and career. I feel distracted, not able to put enough time to enhance my Ayurveda skills or business. What are your thoughts? So Ajna, I think, of course, I don't know your situation. I used to say to people before I was married and before I had dogs, I would joke with them, like, get rid of the kids, get rid of the dogs. And I have 3 dogs and a husband. We don't have any children. But somehow you find what's important to you, and you create the time, and you create boundaries, and you do your work. So the word distracted that you use in your question, Anjana, is very interesting, because during this time of the pandemic, I started out, like most people, extremely distracted and unfocused, and I had no idea how. I was writing a book at the time. I had no idea how I was going to get back to work. But at some point, I had to establish some sort of routine, and it's a very loosey-goosey routine still. But I basically didn't get to the computer until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because I had to just sort of work my way through the first part of the day before I could sit down. And I had to be forgiving, because you think of a writer, you got your computer at 6 a.m., you got your tea and your coffee, whatever. I didn't. At 1 o'clock, I was finally ready to sit down. But so find it your way. Don't think about what anybody else's way is. Find your way. Maybe it's between 6 and 8 o'clock at night. You're able to sit down, log into a webinar. Dr. Ladd, Dr. Svoboda, there's so many people that are offering. Dr. Svoboda has been offering, if you guys don't know Robert Svoboda, I'll put his name here in the chat so you can find him. But he's been offering, I'm not writing. He's been offering incredible webinars during COVID. Svoboda. You should really look into that. So I think that's, don't be hard on yourself. It's a really tough time, and just do what you can, What is your recommendation for site creation, putting together a compelling message for potential, okay, so do you mean website creation? If that is it, I actually, I use Squarespace, and I had somebody help me. I bartered. This is something else that's on my list to talk to you about. When you need help with things like copywriting or website design or even social media posts and so on, barter. Offer an Ayurvedic consultation in return for, you know, the work you're going to get, or maybe you can lower the price. Or even I even bartered for my most recent photo shoot from book. Bartered, didn't pay a penny, got like 200 photos. So, and she hasn't even taken her consultation yet. So that I'm putting together a compelling message. The compelling message is your message. There's no more compelling message than your personal story. So this is Julia. So Julia, I want you to look within and find out, what is your compelling message? What is your story? You know, like mine was like, it's better than just weight loss. I mean, there's more stuff that happened than just losing weight, but that opened up a lot emotionally for me. And actually, you know, I there's a whole story for that. But anyway, find your story and then tell your story. You can't just keep it to yourself. You have to tell everyone your story who wants to hear it. Don't tell people who don't want to hear it. But if someone is coming to you or somebody's in your orbit, test the waters, see if they want to hear your story, to know how Ayurveda changed your life and how you might be able to help them with the information that you have. So thank you for all the nice words. As a busy person, this is Catherine. I have learned to congratulate myself for what I get done rather than focus and chastise myself for what I don't get done. Fantastic. Life is hard enough. Just tell yourself how great you are, and then just move on and help somebody else and tell them how great they are. So Julia says, yes, I want to hear the message. How do we make it not? So Julia, if you're able to unmute yourself, I'd like to have more of a conversation with you because I'm not clear on exactly what you want to know. Is the barter system healthy for the economy of this practice now? I always think the barter system is healthy. I think money is overrated. I think there's other ways we need to learn to trade with each other. So I do think that way. Is it possible to take questions at the end? We can do that too. We can maybe do a little bit of both, since I think the questions are also sparking some things that maybe I didn't even write down. So maybe we can do a little bit of each. So let me just look back at my notes. We were asked questions about websites. I did mention I use Squarespace, which business-wise I find is just very easy to work with. So there's so many options out there right now. So I would definitely look into that, but get help if you need. Another way I wanted to talk about marketing yourself is to write contributed articles. Oh my gosh, when I was starting, there was nothing like Elephant Journal or Care2 or Medium or the Mindful News and so on. There were only like local newspapers, and yeah, so I would just sometimes write, position myself as an expert on a certain topic, let's say eating for springtime or summer recipes or how to deal with allergies and, you know, Ayurvedically or pranayama, like how breath can save your life or whatever. So I would write some articles and contribute them for free to local newspapers. Also by giving talks. I know people, when we're out of COVID, or you can actually probably now, there's people dying for content on their, I shouldn't say dying, but there's probably people who are really looking for content, like your local library and or like your county, our county has like a newsletter that it sends out and it highlights and features people. So get in touch with those local people who are looking for content to fill their news because they're not having on-site events anymore, and offer a free 15-minute talk or 30-minute talk, and be sure to put up your information and so people can get in touch with you. So you have to be creative now about these ways, but the contributed articles to the online journals is really important. These they don't pay, most of them, but they take pretty much everything. So as I mentioned, Elephant Journal, Care2, Mindful News, and Medium, they really take a lot of articles from people. So and Steemit is another one you might want to look into to start getting your name out there. But that doesn't end there. Once you get your name out there, of course, going on podcasts and just talking to almost everybody laughs. You have to look into it first. But you have to remember that you can use that afterwards. So let's say you get an article in Care 2. You take that link and you put it all on your social, you put it on your website, you send it out to your email list, you tell everybody that you have an article that's been published. You know, most people don't know that it was free and they take almost everything, but you can just use that material, podcast links, everything, and create a newsletter around it, or make sure that it's always up on your website. Okay, so you want to promote yourself. I wrote down like promote, promote, promote. You have to promote yourself. You have to promote your personal story. And that's how you get people to you. So like Annette, I think, is a really great example. Somebody in her mid-50s who changed her career. That this is like her niche. Like these women and men who, and like Om also, they just decide like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this shift. Ayurveda changed something in my life and I need to tell everybody. I need to promote myself because that is my niche now. And those are the people who are going to come to me for business. You have to know your audience. You have to know your community. You have to know where you are. You can't go in expecting everyone's going to start chanting Om Namah Shivaya, right? It's not going to happen. You have to meet your community and learn from them what they want from you. Do they just want to learn how to cook Ayurvedic meals? Do they want to learn vegetarian meals? Do they just want to learn how to use bean? Find out what it is. Do they want to learn pranayama, how to meditate, how to improve their life? You know, maybe you could even do talks on Vastu Shastra or Jyotish. You know, just so find out what is your specialty and go deep into your specialty. At the same time, listen to your community and see what it is they need to know and see if you have that knowledge to offer them. Okay, so I'll look back at the questions a minute here. Okay. I'm still learning Ayurveda. What steps do you recommend to prep for starting a practice when I complete the course? This is great. So what I did, and that is Deepa. Deepa asked a great question. So what I did was I started offering free classes. So you could do free online classes, and I started doing free or very cheap consultations. This was really how, I mean, I couldn't start asking people for $150 for a consult right out of, you know, like school. I did free or like $30 or $50, and I kept moving up, then creating packages and so on as I went on. But giving free talks because, and I had classes. I created classes and workshops. So what was interesting to me was weight loss, and then it was relationships. And so I just saw how Ayurveda could work into all these different facets of my life. And I started to just write up classes and workshops and do research you know, we're not like reinventing anything here. We're putting our spin on it. But Ayurveda, as we know, has been around 5,000 years. So you're putting your spin on it, your unique voice on it, and you can create your own class, give free talks, and, you know, just have confidence in yourself when you're doing it. So I think, you know, when I went to the center in the program, we had several, although it was distance learning, but then we had several in person, and we actually practiced teaching. And we had a booklet called Perfect Health that we use. And if anybody here is a teacher person or anybody has that material, the material was great that we were offered. If you're connected to a school and you're on this call, maybe your school has class and course material for you to look at in order to teach people. So you might find that to be helpful. How do you find your online Ayurvedic consultation? I think the online consultations are working out just fine. Of course, I can't read pulses. I can do tongue. But I will just tell you, if you do pulse readings, I did learn, one of the courses I did was the Gurukula program with Dr. Ladd in Pune, India. And one of my teachers there, Jennifer, if anyone knows Jennifer, she's awesome. She taught us that she can read pulses virtually with her clients on the phone. And I found this to be true. When I hold my pulses and I ask my client to hold their pulses and I close my eyes And I tell them, sort of where to go with the pressure on the pulses and so on, that I could actually feel their pulse. And I think 9 times out of 10, I get it right. There's a lot of vata going on in this group right now. I can tell you that. I feel that. But anyway, I find I can see their home. I can see the situation they're living in. I can see if they're distracted. I get actually a much better feel in a lot of ways from my client looking on the computer, how long it takes them to set up, if their camera isn't set up right, if they're, you can tell like if they're vata pitta, the pittas are all ready, everything is all set, the kaphas are laying in their bed, and the vatas, their cameras are like down here and they have like no idea. So, you can figure a lot out just by seeing that on the call. So I think it's actually been really good. So Anu, I have a few clients who want quick results. Well, they're pittas. They don't want to pay. No one's in this. So wait, 3 months or more interested in the process. Do you get such folks? Okay, so this is something you have to educate your client on. In your marketing material, I think it's on your website and all your social, I think it's really important to let people know that Ayurveda is not a quick fix, that there is no such thing as a quick fix, because it's going to come back and get you. So Anu, I think that you need to educate your clients on the dhatus, on the 7 layers of the tissue, explain samprapti, how disease can get at a certain point, disease is so embedded in our bodies that it might take years to unwind, that there is no just take this herb and you'll be better. I explain to my clients, you're 50 years old, this has taken 50 years to take hold in your body. Or somebody who's had a lot of UTIs, who's been on antibiotics on and off for years, this is going to take 10 years to unwind this. So let's be patient and let's feel better every step of the way. But you have to educate them. It's not up to, if they want quick results, you can tell them Ayurveda is not for you, or you need to be more patient. Actually, I wouldn't say Ayurveda is not for you. I would say, let's have some patience here. Let's go baby steps. Let's try one step at a time, and then you can see the results. So Anna, was all about you educating your clients is really what I think is most important. I wanted to talk about telehealth for a second. Every state has their own laws. So if you, you have to be very careful if you're not a doctor or a nurse. There's HIPAA regulations. We are just unregulated practitioners. But I think you need to be very careful, and when you work with your clients on the phone and on Zoom, to really state, have it in writing on your website and all your marketing material, that you are not an accredited doctor and that you are not offering medical advice. You are merely educating people in Ayurveda. You are an educator. Say that over and over and over again, because people think I get emails all the time, Dr. Susan, blah, blah, blah. First thing I say is, I am not a doctor. I'm educating you in Ayurveda, and you gotta have that in writing. Okay. All right, let's see here. How important is to specialize in your practice? I really think, Linda, that it's very important to specialize. Of course, we're open to all different things. I work with men with issues that I've never dealt with, as well as younger people with Lyme's disease, things that I've never had to deal with in my life. So I research that and I look for the different ways to help to treat them. But I think it's really good if you have a specialty, because then you can create like you can just create sort of a base for your practice, which I think, some boutique doctors do. Let's say they're like, a heart specialist or allergy specialist and so on. Like, they have their specialties, but they're knowledgeable in all the different areas. So I do think it's important. So Deepa said, wow. I don't know what she was saying wow to, but I like it. Share contact details for your Pulse teacher. So I can't believe I can't think of Jennifer's last name right now, but I'll make sure to send it on the WhatsApp to everybody. But I studied Pulse originally with Dr. Ladd at the Ayurvedic Institute. Oh my God, a really long time ago, 8 or 9 years ago, at one of his intensives. So they're not doing intensives now, but they're doing them online. I think you could probably learn a decent amount online. Yeah, that's definitely sort of a practice that you have to learn you have to feel it and feel other people, but you can start to feel other people. You could watch some things online and learn, the different ways of the pulse. It's like learning Marma therapy. You got to be there, but you can certainly learn some on your own. Let's see. Thanks for all your nice content. Should we strive to be HIPAA compliant? Okay. So like you can't be HIPAA compliant because you're not accredited. And so I'm on the NAMA board of directors, and our main goal right now is to get accreditation up and running by next year. And so if you're not already a NAMA member, I would really advise you to become a NAMA member and then vote for me because I'm running for the board again. But you got to do that quickly because I think voting is up like August 1st or something. So anyway, I think that if you strive to become HIPAA compliant, in some ways you're limiting yourself. So I like working under the radar. That's just me. So I'm going to leave it at that. Contributing articles, you could replenish them on your, republish them. Yeah. You can just take the links and put them on your website, on your Instagram, everything. So yeah, definitely do that. So state regulations, if you have clients out of state. Right now, you don't have to worry about that because there are no regulations for Ayurveda. There are none. But as I said, you just have to say that you're educating people in Ayurveda. If you ever come to a NAMA conference, we have a great lawyer whose name is Susan Etheridge. I'm going to put her name here. So Susan has really advised us and given talks in Ayurveda for how to do it legally. But the beginning, middle, and end is to say you're teaching, you're educating. So that's what you need to do. Okay. Let me see what other notes I had here.
Hey, Susan, can you hear me?
Programs. Yes.
Hey, this is Shruti.
Yes.
So I do want to sort of mention one thing as we're talking through all this amazing discussions is that I think what's really unique about you, and I find that amazing, is that you've offered a variety of services and products to clients over the years. Whether it's consultations, workshops, India retreats, cooking classes, books. So, we sometimes tend to think linearly in starting our practice, and we think that consultations are the only modality for offering Ayurvedic services. However, clearly this is not true, looking at your experience and, others around us. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about, these different services and how the business sort of, what have you learned about doing each of these products and services? What worked, what didn't work?
So I think I didn't know that I had so much more vata than I have because I'm constantly moving. I'm all over the place. I get ideas all the time. And you know how vata is just distracted by every shiny new object. But then I did have a journalism background. But then you get distracted, but then as we know, our dosha is like we can call our kapha up to calm us down and take a really good look at it. And then the pitta can be called into action to make it happen. So what I did really was I naturally looked at all the parts of my life, things that I love. I love world travel. I loved it. I lived overseas from the time I was 22 until I was in my early 30s. And I lived in Israel, so I traveled all over the world. So even once I started the bookstore, even before Ayurveda, I said, I can't stand behind a counter every day for the next 10, 15 years. So I need to travel because that's who I am. I love to see the world. So while I had the bookstore, I had trips to sacred sites, going to England, to crop circles, to Peru, to Machu Picchu, to things. So I established that because it's what I loved. Do what you love. You have to do what you love. And so when I started in Ayurveda, then I was like, I had gone to India before that. I took a group to India while I was studying Ayurveda, and then I expanded that a couple times a year and in Ayurveda. So that became this whole other thing. And then I've been meditating since I was in my 20s. So I established a meditation group at my bookstore that went on for over 10 years because I even did it when I closed my bookstore for another several years. And we just stopped it now in March because of COVID. So because that's what I did. I was a meditator. I could have a meditation group. I love to cook. I've been vegetarian since I was 16. And so cooking became, when I started Ayurveda, I was like, well, of course, cooking. So and then writing. So the first book happened because somebody called me and hired me to write a book. And then that book has sold over 30,000 copies, Ayurveda Beginner's Guide. I'll hold it up for you. This book here, I was hired to write this book from a media company in Silicon Valley. They hired me, they paid me, but I don't get royalties, but it has sold a gazillion copies. So that got me an agent and a contract at Simon & Schuster. And so I was a writer because I was a journalist in Israel and I've been writing forever. And so now what makes my heart sing, what I want to do is I want to be quieter. I actually wanted to stop seeing clients so much. I wanted to stop cooking classes. I wanted to write. And then COVID came along and I was like, this is, I hate to say it, but it was perfect timing. As we speak, we are dismantling the Teaching Kitchen and donating everything in it to a nonprofit and turning the Teaching Kitchen into a family room, because I'm never going to have 20 people standing in my kitchen again, shoulder to shoulder, cooking together, right? So you listen to yourself and you go along the path of least resistance. Don't force yourself to do something that doesn't work for you just because somebody else does it. So let's say you do want to do consultations all the time. That's great. Then you set up your practice like that. You work with other organizations and groups when you're beginning that already have like osteopaths or acupuncturists. Align yourself with different groups that already have people coming in and they can refer you. So the acupuncturist can say, you know what, right next door here, 3 days a week, we have an Ayurvedic practitioner and I think you would do great with her. So look for those connections because you can't do it all on your own, okay? And then, you know, which Shruti was saying, I think I said it. I mean, you just got to do what you love. And some people love a million different things like me, and some people love to do just one thing. But listen to yourself, like we talked about earlier. Shagun, just listen to yourself in your meditation. And what is your path? Ask yourself, what's my path? What should I be doing now? And then you have to know it's not your path forever. Like the bookstore wasn't my path forever. Living in Israel wasn't my path forever. Being an Ayurvedic consultant full-time was not my path forever. Everything is a stepping stone to get you to the new place. And as you grow and mature and your situation changes and world pandemics happen, we have to be flexible. We have to pivot. We have to be secure enough in our skills and our ideas to say, oh, I can move a little bit over here. The world needs me here right now. The world needs to know how to boost their immune system right now. The world needs to know how to cook at home and stay healthy and not gain the COVID-19. So, you know, we have to just be open and flexible. I know that's hard for pittas who want to know, this is my path. You know, the type A personalities. I've always called myself deep personality. I had to go whole alphabet before I found, you know, something that was interesting to me. But if your vata is all over the place, then just try to rein that in a little bit and notice what interests you. Make a list and then use your other doshas to keep you on track. Thank you, Annette, for saying that book is awesome. It was really fun to write. Let me see. Someone's asking about making formulations. So I don't do that. So I leave that to Banyan or Mapi or SVA Chandrika. I don't make formulations for people. I educate myself on them and then I tell them what to buy. And that's why I wrote down affiliate programs, because right now a way to make money, and we're all looking for how to make money, is to join the affiliate programs of these companies like Banyan, Mapi, Maharishi Ayurveda, SVA Chandrika. Other companies might have it too, but those are the three that I recommend the most. So they have affiliate programs where you create a link, you can send it to your clients, or you can put it on your website or newsletters and so on. And so, you know, like I get a check for maybe, or I get it deposited into my bank account, a couple $100, whatever. Some people make thousands of dollars on their affiliate programs. I don't do it that often, but that's something that you need to look into. So yeah, the Ayurvedic practitioner program, overwhelming for different formulations. Me too, wasn't my thing, didn't make my heart sing. I was not the one to sit there and put Shankapushpi and Brahmi and Guggulu, and that's just not me. I know what they do, but I'm not going to stand around and make them. So someone else does it. You don't need to do it. Banyan does a beautiful job. Maharishi Ayurveda makes some fantastic formulations. So look into that. would you speak a little about the affiliate programs I just did? What wholesale programs? So that's it. Banyan. They're just people I got comfortable with. Oh, and Life Spa, Dr. John Douillard, Life Spa. They don't have an affiliate program, but I sold their products for a long time in my store. And if you don't already get Dr. John's email address, go to Life Spa, or his videos, sorry. Go to lifespa.com. He's great. The third affiliate is SVA. That was for Vaidya Mishra, his company. And one of the main people from Dr. Vaidya Mishra is Marianne Teitelbaum, who's in New Jersey, who's amazing. And Vaidya Mishra, oh God, she has the Ayurvedic Cafe in New York. I can't think of her name. Oh, Divya Alter. Look into Divya's cooking classes online too. Divya is amazing. She has a cafe in New York City. I love her. And she and Marianne are Vaidya Mishra students. He just died a few years ago. It's very sad. Okay, wow, those are all the questions. I think I covered it. Did I do it? And I just have in my notes, solicit testimonials from your clients. Be specific about your niche. Oh, I have one last really good one. Create a virtual Sangha, satsang, or book club. You know, you can have people read my book and have a book club, or I'm just working with a bunch of books here right now. Like, okay, this is a cookbook, but anything by Almadea Morningstar, Dr. Frawley, you know, create a book club where you can talk about the different things, people who are interested in Ayurveda. Do you guys know Kate O'Donnell? She is so great. Her cookbooks are amazing. And she also just wrote a new book that's very much like my new book on seasonal Ayurveda and healthcare. Love Kate O'Donnell. Her books are fantastic. So look into that. So create a book club. Say we're going to talk about recipes, or we're going to talk about Marma, or we're going to talk about ancient Ayurveda. Create a satsang. Kotakal has an affiliate program. I never really use them, but I know they're really great products. So use them. Yeah. So I think that's it. I think those are all my notes. And yeah. So Shruti, what do you think?
Yeah, that was amazing. I don't know how you did it. We still have a few more questions coming in. So if you don't have a hard stop at 10.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I know you have a journalism background. Yeah, I'd love to see people if they want to put themselves up. But did you get yourself an editor at some point? Okay, so here we go. As I mentioned, I wrote my first book because I was hired to, and they gave me an editor. I would not have known how to write a book without an editor. We created an outline. We worked on that together. And then I sort of filled in the puzzle pieces. This particular company called Callisto Media, or Callisto Media. You can't pitch them, they come to you. But we had word counts, like everything was very specific. So I sort of filled in the blanks. It was hard, but I did it. It was also a short turnaround, like 4 months. What happened because of that is I got an agent because I sold so many books. It was very successful. I knew people in the publishing field, and so through that, this guy at Simon & Schuster helped me find people, and ironically, I ended up at Simon & Schuster. And so when you get hired by a book company, you get an editor, and so that's what happens. So I had an editor. But there are people out there that can help you put a book together. They're called like content supervisors or content editors. There's people out there who can help you write a book, but they charge you a lot of money. But you might be able to do that might be worth it for you in the beginning. I'm sending my email.
I have a quick Hi. I have a quick question regarding home practice. And what are your thoughts on practice from home versus having an actual brick and mortar?
Well, I had the brick and mortar just because I had the bookstore, but otherwise, I moved here to my new home and did it totally out of my house. We had a separate entrance. I didn't have to clean the whole house every time someone came in. My doors become between the main house and my teaching kitchen where I did my consultation. So of course, I mean, I had no overhead. So I think it's great if you have it to do in your house, do it in your house. But if not, I would definitely try to partner with like massage therapists, acupuncturists. So you had that same energy of healing in the space, but maybe just rent a few days a week. But I found because I had my own house, I have all my Ayurvedic products set up on a shelf, you know, all my oils, all my stuff, all the books that I sold to my clients. So, you know, otherwise you just either have no inventory, which is fine, and you sign up for affiliate programs with everyone. You get like 20%, you know. So then you just give them links, you use your specific link for your client, then you don't have to have any inventory except maybe a few things to show them. So I'm a believer in working from home if you can.
Thank you.
Sure. Let's see. How does one find a publisher? So you have to have an agent first, except for I know Kate O'Donnell has been working with Shambhala, and she approached them on her own. So you have to look into learning how to write a proposal and a marketing plan, and you have ample chapters where if you're going to go with a publisher, and then you can submit those to publishers. On their websites, it'll say if they take submissions without an agent. A lot of the websites for Penguin, Harper, Simon & Schuster, Shambhala, I mean, obviously there's so many publishers, but they might say we take unsolicited manuscripts, or they're going to say you have to have an agent submit it. So that's how you do that. The name of my book, my second book, is called Seasonal Self-Care Rituals, and it's based on your dosha. It has a long subtitle, and Ayurveda Beginner's Guide is my first one. And the Seasonal Self-Care Rituals is coming out December 29th. It's already up for pre-sale on Amazon, Simon & Schuster site, your local bookstore. You can put an order in for it. It looks like it's going to be really pretty. I'm very excited about it. Do you always suggest formulations to client, or is it okay to? Oh, it's fine to do research. Oh my God, I don't know everything off the top of my head. Definitely, I'm working with a bladder cancer patient right now who's going through chemo and taking different drugs and antibiotics for UTI. So it's really complicated. I had no idea. So I have to do some research into that. So always looking to get help. And I say to the client, I need to research this and I'm going to get back to you with a list. Yeah. It's great to know your limits. Also, I did actually have that down. To get yourself a support group so you can recommend people to others, like people who specialize in cancer or IBS or Lyme's or whatever it is, and to know when it's above your pay grade. Like if I've got someone coming to me like the person with bladder cancer, she really wanted to know how to eat during chemotherapy. That I could really work with her on. But I could not cure her cancer, obviously. And, she knows that. But know your limit. And if you think somebody is like too complicated for you, say, look, I really need to recommend you to a naturopathic doctor or to a integrative practitioner or a therapist. Just know and create your own sort of like, as I said, support group, but your own sort of log of other practitioners that you can refer people to. Okay. To some okay, that's what Shruti's message. Okay, I think that, yeah, Shruti, I know we're out of time, but if anyone else has anything else, you can email me. I put my email address up there, and I'm really happy this group exists and so many people here interested in Ayurveda. I think that's just fantastic. So I thank you all for listening to me, and I hope I gave you some useful information, and I really wish you all the best of luck in your practice, and don't give up. Look where we are now and see how you can be useful to your community and your population during COVID. Just find that in and offer yourself. And as I said before, listen to what people need. Listen to what their needs are and see how you can fulfill that. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. And thank you everyone for joining today. I'll just mention a couple of things before we sign off for today. One, as I mentioned, if some of you are budding writers and already have been writing articles, do get in touch with me. CTA has a blog, so we are looking to host articles on our blog. So do get in touch and we'll see what's possible. Another thing that's coming up at the end of the month is our community hours event on the last Friday of the month. So if you want to get in touch and network and, you know, get to know others in the CTA community, that's a great event to join and see each other, to talk to each other, and have a group discussion. So I really look forward to seeing more of you at these events, you know, and as you said, Susan, I think, you know, part of this being in this community, the great thing is you can connect with each other and see how, you know, what others are working on, you know, how to promote yourself. Can you collaborate with one another, help each other? I've learned so much this last year of, you know, being part of the CTA community by just helping other practitioners, other students, other professionals. And, you know, we have the opportunity to do that with CTA. So thank you all for coming. And I hope to see you all soon at the Community Hours event. And Susan says, Nama, vote for the new board. All right.
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much. Thank
Great
you, guys.
information.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. I look forward to being on more calls with everybody and listening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great Friday. Bye.
Bye.